Hey art fans, Butch Hartman here. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below because you can now see our videos every week on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. That's right, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays is 4 of the days of the week. Forget about those days. We have 3 days of the week now. We now have a schedule of regularly uploaded videos, so check those out. Okay, if you click on the button and you're watching me right now, you are now a Hart fan. Welcome. We welcome you. And you probably have a lot of questions for me and probably a lot of questions about animation in general. So a couple of things about me in case you haven't been here before. I'm Butch Hartman. I've created a bunch of cartoons on Nickelodeon. One is called OddParents, one's called Danny Phantom, one's called TUFF Puppy, and one is called Bunsen is a Beast. Plus, I've created this thing called the NOOG Network with a bunch of original animation on it. Plus, I've been doing animation for 30 years professionally. I've been drawing my whole life. I love cartoons, grew up in it, so I feel as though I'm uniquely qualified to answer all of your animation questions. So I'm going to go on Google right now and answer some of the web's most asked animation questions. Are you ready? Here we go. First thing up is Nickelodeon on Hulu? No. Is Nickelodeon shutting down? I don't think so. Is Nickelodeon part of Disney? Probably soon. They own everything else on planet Earth. Just took a breath. Gotta pay Disney. Is Nickelodeon Studios still open? Yes, but it's Friday after 5, so they're probably closed right now. Is Nickelodeon Illuminati? Guys, I think they found out. Turn off the camera. Why Nickelodeon changed? Nickelodeon changed because a lot of networks change as the years go by. Nickelodeon's been around since 1980. That's almost 40 years. And it's just a long time for a network to be around, so they always have to keep changing and evolving. That's why they change shows, they change lineups, they change their schedule all the time. Unless you're SpongeBob and you're there forever. Okay, when Nickelodeon went downhill? Well, obviously it went downhill when they canceled, Danny Phantom, right? Are cartoons anime? What do you think? You think cartoons are anime? Or is anime a whole different art form? It's probably its own different art form. I think cartoons, yes, cartoons and anime are both drawings drawn in a sequence and they are animated for sure, but I think people have in their mind the more Americanized version of cartoons where more like the early Walt Disney stuff, Steamboat Willie, the way American animation stemmed from there, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, leading up to all the Disney movies until Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Flintstones, TV animation, that sort of thing is probably what a cartoon is, quote unquote. And anime is basically the Japanese version of doing a cartoon, but they just call it something different. So I think anime and cartoons are separate, but they kind of are the same thing. Does that make any sense? Okay. I'm going to click on the space bar. But, I'm really disappointed because when I clicked on the space bar years ago when I was younger, I thought I would go into space, and that didn't happen. So thanks a lot, computer people. Are cartoons art? You're darn tootin' they're art. If anyone ever told me my cartoons weren't art, would I be a little incensed at them. I mean, they're totally art. You're sitting there working really hard on something that wasn't existing 4 seconds ago. You have a blank piece of paper or a blank page in your tablet or a blank canvas or whatever, and you're sitting there putting your heart and soul into it, making a drawing come to life so that people will look at it and get joy and get happiness out of it, hopefully. Or whatever mood you want to invoke, they're getting that. That is absolutely art, and that's what animation is. And it really bothers me that animation gets a bad rap a lot of time because people don't take it seriously, and I think a lot of people look down at animation because they can't do it, and obviously they think animation is just for kids, and a lot of it is. Yet you can tell stories that are just as powerful with animation as you can with stories that are live action. Are cartoons good for you? I believe some are and some aren't. I think if the cartoon makes you laugh, gives you a good feeling, no need to preach a big message of kindness and amazingness. It's good that that gets in there. If the cartoon makes you feel good, awesome, in a good way. I think some people take cartoons and animation into a dark way. That's their choice. You have a choice also to watch that or not, but I think given a platform you can entertain kids or people in any way, I prefer to put a positive message out there. That's just me. Are cartoons evil? Let me see. Maleficent, Scar, Ursula, Shere Khan, yeah, I'd say they're evil. Mr. Crocker, he's evil but silly. Okay, are cartoons hand-drawn anymore? Every single thing that you ever see that has been animated or will be animated starts with a hand-drawn drawing. All of it. Every Pixar film you've seen. I thought computers did that, said the cartoon voice. Well, computers do it after thousands and thousands of drawings have been done by a human being sitting there just sketching things on a piece of paper. What does the school look like? What does the house look like? What does the car look like? What does the world look like? What do the costumes look like? What do the characters look like? I guarantee you there were 20,000 Buzz Lightyears designed before Buzz Lightyear was finalized in the CGI form that ended up in Toy Story. There's thousands of drawings done by hand that happen with everything. So cartoons are hand-drawn and they always will be. How cartoons are made? Very simply, cartoons are made by putting one drawing after another, after another, after another in sequence. It's like if I'm going to throw a baseball, I throw the baseball, right? But my first drawing is here, my second drawing is here, my third drawing is here, my fourth drawing is here, fifth, and so on. And yes, it looks like a lot of work, right? Well, you're right. It is a lot of work. Someone's got to know how to draw a character in every single position in order to get all those drawings achieved. It's kind of amazing if you think about it. How cartoons look in different countries? Well, it all depends. It depends on what cartoon those countries are working on. We did the animation for Fairly OddParents in Korea for many, many years. And then we changed over to a studio in Canada. Did it look different? It looked like I wanted it to look. So it doesn't matter what country the animation is done in, it depends on what client they're working for. How cartoons affect the brain? Well, I'm living proof. What do you think? How cartoons are made now? Well, there's a lot of differences now in how cartoons are made, because back, like, let's say in the 40s, 1940s, when Walt Disney was making cartoons, they would take the drawings on paper, transfer them to a piece of plastic celluloid, that's where cells came from, and they would have people, women mostly in that day, they worked in the ink and paint department. They would take ink pens filled with paint, and they would trace the drawings from the paper onto the cell, and then paint those cells. It was an unbelievably tedious process, and the women in the ink and paint department weren't really given as much credit as they should have been, because they had to take not only a drawing, just a regular pencil drawing, and transfer it to cell, they had to paint it as well. And they had to get every drawing one after the other, the same color, exactly right all the time. Really, really take my hat off, if I had a hat. I'd take my hat off to all the women of the ink and paint department in Walt Disney Studios back in the 1940s and 50s. I mean, in fact, it wasn't until the Xerox machine was invented in the 1960s, when 101 Dalmatians came out, that they really started not having to ink cells anymore. They would just run the cells through a Xerox machine. And finally, as technology advanced, we started using, of course, computers to do a lot of things, but computers don't do the drawings. People think they do, and they don't. Human beings do the drawings. We do the drawings still, but then what happens is the drawings are scanned into a computer, so then the drawing becomes a computer file, which can then be colored in Photoshop, which makes life a lot easier. And even the camera work. Back in the day, they had these really big cameras called an Oxberry camera. Whenever something has the word ox in it, you know it's you. So the camera would face down. You'd put each drawing underneath the camera, and then you'd go like, you put drawing down, ready, click, 1 frame. Drawing goes away, other drawing goes in, click, 1 frame. So for every 90-minute movie that Walt Disney was making, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of drawings were shot in 1 frame at a time. Kind of an amazing process. So cartoons, the way they've been made has been slightly different, but really not much. We just have computers now instead of giant cameras like that. Why cartoons wear gloves? One answer is that it comes from the Steamboat Willie days when Mickey Mouse was in black and white. If you took his gloves off, he just had little black hands, and you put it in front of his little black body, and you couldn't see the hand against the body. So the white glove enabled you to see that hand against the body. It really just started off as simple as that, and then other characters followed that example. Like Bugs Bunny, for example, who is a light gray and is in full color, had gloves on for no reason. I don't see any reason why Bugs would have gloves on. But anyway, other characters followed that example, so it was pretty funny. Just be careful sometimes, because what you set down for the first time, other people can copy it. So if you're going to be an influencer, an example, just make sure you do it in the right way. Why cartoons have 4 fingers? Good question. I think that comes from, I heard Ward Kimball say. Ward Kimball was one of the original Disney 9 old men. He said 4 fingers saves time and looks better, and that was it. These guys were doing thousands of drawings all the time, every day, and had to get their work done. So I think drawing 1 less finger might have saved time for them in the long run. Why cartoons wear same clothes? Very easy answer. Because the audience identifies that character with that costume. For example, Superman here. Superman has had the same costume on for 80 years. 80 years. If you take this costume away from Superman, we take this off, he starts looking less like Superman, right? You take this off. They tried doing something in DC Comics in the 90s where they put him in a black suit. He didn't look like Superman anymore. And people wanted the red and blue suit back. And so, boom, that's why I gotta keep characters in the same costume all the time, because the audience starts to identify with that character. Why cartoons are bad now? Well, that's a good question. Why are cartoons bad now? To be honest with you, I think there's always been bad cartoons, but there's always been good cartoons. But for some reason, the cartoons that are bad these days are really bad. Cartoons are bad now because everybody seems to be trying to shock people. I think people that come out with cartoons now, if they're doing bad cartoons, they don't love cartoons, number one. They think it's a step down for them. They could care less about you, the audience. I think it's an insult to you. I think when you make a bad cartoon and people are able to watch it and you're not doing a good job, you don't care about the writing, or you are trying to shock people, you're trying to put nudity in there, or you're trying to put just bad words in there, or just the shock value alone. If you're shocking for a good reason, it ends up in a funny way or a good way, that's fine. You know, if you're surprising somebody with the turn of the story or just a character turn or a character moment, boom, that's good. But just to put nudity in there and to put bad things in there to shock people, I know a lot of cartoonists that make cartoons more for their friends than their audience, and I don't really respect that. And I really feel bad when they make cartoons and you guys watch that stuff and you get turned off to that, because it makes me look bad. It makes people like me who work really hard to do good entertainment look bad. So I think that's why they're so bad. People are trying to really shock now. Why cartoons are good for you. I love when a cartoon's so good you can quote the lines from it. I've always tried to work really hard on my cartoons with my writers to give Fairly OddParents, Danny Phantom, all of my shows, lines people can quote. I think if you can quote the lines, it's really cool. It makes you feel good, like, hey, that really meant something to somebody to be able to quote that line. Why animation is important? Well, that's very simple. It's important because it's awesome. It's an art form that's exceedingly hard to do, but if you can conquer it and master it, it's such a pleasing experience. It makes people feel good too. It takes you out of reality a little bit, and sometimes that's really fun. That's why animation is important. Why animation is so expensive? Basically because it takes hundreds of people to do one animated project of any kind. We're talking tons of writers, tons of artists, not only artists who draw the characters, but artists who do the backgrounds, people who do the costumes and the props, people who do the music, people who do the editing, people who do the sound, people who do the recording, the voice actors. It all takes dozens and dozens, sometimes hundreds of people to do these things, and that's why it's so expensive, because all these people need to get paid and make a living. Because when you're paying people, they have the incentive to keep doing a good job. So that's why it's so expensive. Plus, too, you want to get an animated feature out there? Oh boy, you're talking years and years of work. Your average animated feature takes 4 years of work to get on the screen. So from the time someone thought of it to the time it gets on screen, probably longer than 4 years. The actual, once they say go, let's make this, that's 4 years. But up until the time of saying go, there might be 10 years before that, before it even gets on screen. Any movie you see on the screen right now, on the screen, on TV, anything, if it's on your computer, on Netflix, anything, you see a project that's been in someone's head for a long time. Your average film has probably taken 10 years to get to the screen. Why animation is a good career? Wow, it's awesome because you get to work with awesome people. You get to practice your craft all the time and get paid for it. And I think it's great because it teaches you storytelling. It's great to be a storyteller, and you get to draw cartoons all day long. That's why it's a great career. And plus you can not only draw like silly cartoons, you can just start drawing realistic cartoons, you know, like comic books, anime. It really is a wide open world of what you can do. Plus you can bend the laws of reality. It's really fun. Is animation hard? It is hard if you don't know what you're doing. You have to practice, you have to train. It's like anything else. It's like playing a sport, like playing an instrument. You have to train and learn the way it's done. But after you kind of practice for a while, you'll get the hang of it. It won't be as hard. But everything's a challenge. There's always different things in animation, and learning how to draw characters from different angles, learning how to draw different types of characters, animals versus humans, or just geometric things like cars and buildings. There's a lot that goes into it, but don't be discouraged. You can do it. Just practice one thing at a time. When animation looks too real, that's interesting. You know, there's been a couple movies that came out about 10 years ago. One was called The Polar Express, and Tom Hanks was the live action reference for the conductor of this train. And it was Robert Zemeckis' company. They were trying to make, I guess, kind of a hybrid of weird, like realistic-y CGI animation. They also did Beowulf, another movie that they did. And they were trying to make it look so real, but you can't make humans look that real yet with computers, because there's things about a human face, muscles that move and the way the lighting is, and just small ticks of the face and things that aren't really captured with a computer. So when you try to animate a human that realistically and you can't, it's very off-putting. And that's why those movies, the stories were pretty good, but it was the animation that threw people off and they couldn't get through the movie. And I feel bad because I like The Polar Express. When animation is done, every time I finish a Fairly OddParents episode, I breathe a sigh of relief. Yay, it's done. But then I know I have to live with it on TV for the rest of my life. So I have to do as good a job as I can, but I've always got a time limit. We always have a schedule we have to keep. And I've got to keep that schedule so the show can come out. And when the animation's done, people always ask me, are you 100% happy with your show? And I always say, you know what? If I get to 70% happy, that makes me happy, because I don't have time to make it 100%. There's always something I can fix. There's always something I can improve. There's always something we can change, and I've got to let it go, or you'll obsess about it forever. That's a good life lesson. Don't obsess about every little thing in life. You need to let some things go. And I guarantee you've probably done such a good job on it. If you don't believe in yourself, just start believing in yourself. Believe you've done a good job. I've done a good job, and I'm going to let this go right now. And if you need some improvement, someone will tell you, believe me. But right now, just believe in yourself. I bet you've done as good a job as you think you've done. What cartoon character am I? I would say I'm probably a mix of maybe Race Bannon from Johnny Quest and probably a little bit of Dr. Rip Studwell from Fairly OddParents. In fact, I think I'm all Dr. Rip Studwell from Fairly OddParents. Okay, what cartoon should I watch? That's easy. Any of mine. Just start there, okay? Thank you very much. How Nickelodeon started? Well, it's easy. You put gas in it, you grab the handle, you pull it real hard, and the engine starts up, and you cut the grass. Oh wait, that's a lawnmower. And the last one, how Nickelodeon slime is made. That's easy. You guys don't know this? We take Disney characters, melt them down, and mix them all together. That's how the slime is made. Boom! Bam! Cartoon questions answered by Butch Hartman. Thank you guys very much for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I will answer other questions if you want. I know other things besides cartoons. Not a lot. Mostly things about sandwiches, but other than the sandwiches, that's it. So, want to hear me answer more questions? Let me know down in the comment section below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, as always. And don't forget, art gives you power. Use it wisely. See you guys later.
Hey, Heart fans, subscribe here to keep up with me, Danny, Timmy, Dudley, Bunsen, and the NOOG Network, my new app full of cartoons, shows, and games. Download it here. Click over here to watch my most recent video, and here to start a playlist related to this video. Whoa, check out that awesome fan art. To be featured here, use hashtag HeartFanArt and tag me. I'm on every social media platform known to man. Cartoon Butch out. Pencil drop.